Okay, this is the painting video for the lemon. So we're going to start with the base of yellow because yellow is the dominant color in the photograph. So as you're painting this, just make sure that you are using your brush strokes in the correct direction. So we're wanting these to curve. So just as a reminder, we are going to do our base color first, and then we will paint in our shadow color, which is base plus its complement. So in this case, yellow plus violet. And with the lemon, because it is in front of all of the other fruit at the top, we want to just make sure that we are covering up things like this apple that kind of covered part of the sketch for the lemon. So we're just going to paint yellow back over that and get that rounded shape back. So a little bit of the red is bleeding through the paint, but that's not a big deal. We'll let that dry and then that red should get covered up. Put a little bit of the red or yellow paint at the top. Then a little at the bottom where it kind of sticks out. All right. So for our shadow color, we'll take lemon or yellow and a little purple, violet. Mix that up really well. And what I'm going to do is use this brush to put some of that shadow color down just at the bottom. And I'll use another brush with just plain yellow to help blend that in. And because yellow is pretty thin, we may have to do this a few times. I'm just going to put a little more of this shadow down, then continue to blend it in with yellow. Getting some of that extra yellow paint off my brush. Then I'm going to work into that darker color. Gonna get a little more yellow and blend it into this. So just remember to curve your brush strokes as you're painting. So I think this is the third or fourth layer of paint. So now this is starting to cover up all the little spots, like some of the red that was pulling through on the apple, pencil marks, stray paint marks. So there's going to be just a little bit of a shadow at the top. So I'm getting a finer pointed brush and just going to set down a little bit of that darker color. Then going to put down just a little bit of yellow. So I'm just going to get some plain yellow, spin my brush to get that point back, and then blend that into that darker value. Now, I need to add my darker values to the bottom also. So I opted to do that as a separate section. And right underneath the lemon, it is a bit darker, as you can see in the photo. So I'm just going to get that base value down first. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow, blend that into it. Then I'm going to take just a little bit of violet and then just a little bit of the shadow color that I mixed up. So that's a little bit darker. I'm going to paint this in. It kind of curves up just a little bit. And part of this I probably painted a little too far down, but once I add the shadows, it will cover some of that up, get it touched up. And I'm going to reshape my lemon just a little. So it should stick out a little bit more than this. So I'm going to reshape it with yellow and then I'll blend in the shadow color back into it. So it's kind of like we're starting back from the beginning. Now we're going to work with some brighter values now. So I'm going to take yellow and then mix it with a little bit of white. Make this lighter yellow. Let's set this on top, kind of like that. Then I'm going to get a touch of just regular yellow and blend it into that lighter yellow that I was working with, or that I just set down. All right, so this lemon is pretty textured, and I didn't do this on the mango, but I think we're gonna do this on the lemon just so I can show you guys how to do this. So we're gonna add that kind of pebbly uh, orange or lemon peel texture where it's fairly bumpy. So in order to do this, what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna mix up a pretty light reflective yellow. So this is going to make the super bright highlights on the yellow, or they're on the lemon. And get this a little bit brighter. So first thing, I'm going to go through and just do some light stippling where some of those kind of rough values are. So that'll show that pretty bright highlight. There's even some up here. And then what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take a brush and just get all the paint off of it. So I'm just wiping it on my paper towel. And then I'm going to get a little bit of yellow in my brush. And I'm going to get rid of some of that so I don't have as much. And then using this brush, I am just going to do some stippling. And I'm going to keep doing this even when my brush runs out of yellow paint, because that's kind of the ideal stage, because this brush will create that kind of rough texture. So I'm even going to go over that highlight that I did, and then I'll come back and just add that highlight. So you don't want to put too much pressure, just kind of lightly touch the brush to the paper. So right now it's just kind of bouncing on the paper itself to create that texture. And you don't want to make it so bright that you're covering up some of those shadows that you were working with. Essentially what you're doing, you're taking those highlights and making them pop out and creating that texture that the lemon peel has. So even as I'm doing the stippling, I'm still trying to use my directions in a curved nature. And we'll do a little bit at the top. And then a little bit down here. It may not show up real well, but we're still going to do it. So this way we can still see some of those shadow values, or the darker values near the bottom of the lemon, but we're also seeing that kind of bumpy, rough texture as well. And like I said, I may go back over those highlights with just that really bright highlight color that I was working with. So we're just layering it, that's all. I'm just barely pressing the brush to the paper. I'll kind of fade them out just a little. I may go over the kind of the edges just a touch. All right, so now I'm going to apply the shadow. So, or the shadow on the table. So our box is green. So in order to get the shadow color I want to work with, I am going to take green, mix it with a bit of red, which is what I had done right here. So I believe that was from yesterday. Just gonna make a little more of it. And then we're gonna add a little bit of violet just to darken it up a little bit more. So to get a sharp point, I'm just spinning my brush. We will paint that shadow underneath. So the shadow of the lemon essentially is leading into the shadow of the apple. Just gonna darken the shadow behind both the apple and the lemon just a little. All right, so there is the lemon, and this technique we would use for the other lemon, which is further down the painting. So that's on the table portion. So essentially, that lemon is the same. The angle is opposite, so the angle goes the other way, kind of in that 45-degree angle or close to it. But we want to essentially follow the same techniques as far as the base of as yellow, the dark value, and then the highlights and stippling in some more of that texture on top of it. So that is the lemon.